Mireille.
My name is Jeremy.
And we're here at Boċċi Musical for Teatru Malta during the Malta International Arts Festival. A bit of a disclaimer that we're just going to pop up every so often, potentially adding on or in reflection of what we commented in the past. Back on Friday the 13th, actually, that was the first time we went to experience Boċċi the Musical by Teatru Malta. Yeah, well, for me, I think it's playful. That is the word that I would use. Yeah. Playful and fun.
Yes, it's a fun, summery show, I think. I feel it's great to see a new work, a new musical, not just a kind of classic that's being restaged, but a newly commissioned work, and one that is really not only set in a, as you can see behind us, not only set in a Boċċi Club in a local community space, but is addressing local issues in many ways. But we're going to get into the plot a little bit.
So practically speaking, it's a failing Boċċi Club, and somehow with a ragtag team of oddballs, they save it. Overall, I think, like I said, I think it's a very playful piece. I think I would encourage who has never ever entered a space like this to kind of interact with Boċċi for the first time. It's a very nice way of interacting with
Yes, this was my first time in a Boċċi Club actually. So, but I felt like, having never actually seen a real game of Boċċi played, I felt like there might have been more activity on the court than usually goes on, and this sort of kicked up quite a lot of dust, and I found myself breathing in a good deal of it. But I felt this sort of added to the scenography of the whole thing, and it sort of worked as well with the music, which is also light. In different styles, not particularly memorable perhaps from a melodic point of view. I noticed about the music was they have a lot of riffs and styles that come from flamenco and almost kind of Western epic film scores. There's a lot of conflict and confrontation, and
which I think adds a bit to the like a spaghetti western vibe, and I feel
somewhere
like
between a spaghetti western and like a bullfight.
Yes.
And with this dust being kicked up with the Boċċi balls, it makes for quite a spectacle.
I think actually that's something to comment on. Bravo to them to be able to keep on singing with the dust, inhaling all of that dust actually.
But yeah, I think in terms of the overall style of it, I mean, clearly it's in Maltese, and there are bits of English here and there, particularly from the character Jonathan, who, as we know, doesn't speak Maltese. And so the songs are almost all in Maltese as well. But then the musical numbers are this more eclectic range of different popular styles. So yeah, I think that's it's I think that's why I felt like maybe it doesn't have a strong musical identity overall as a musical, because it is so adept maybe at kind of moving between different styles and to make these references, sometimes very pointed satirical references, but perhaps overall there isn't a kind of coherent musical style going on there. But it makes for a very very pleasant experience, even if you don't go out with a sort of a strong sense that this is a kind of breathtakingly original musical. It's still very entertaining. Yeah, that there was a live band, which is not not to be taken for granted maybe, but there's a live 3-piece band. So we've got keyboard, synths, bass guitar and drums, and I mean it was all amplified. I felt like the voices, I wonder what you thought, but the voices sounded a bit more kind of they were overpowering the band maybe, or the volume was set at quite a high level for the voices, I felt.
I concur actually. I think at some points there was like an imbalance in the sounds, the interpretation in the voice during the vocal numbers was quite top. Actually, it was pretty on point. I appreciated it. From a technical point of view, I did experience that feeling of being overwhelmed, and it's such an intimate space. We were very intimate, you know, close to we were on the pitch, so
Yeah.
and we had like those nice sleek speakers close to us, so it did get to me at some points.
Yeah, right. So that's true. So it may have been where we were sitting. So if we were maybe facing like further away, but facing the actors, then
yeah,
it would have sounded more balanced.
Yeah, if we were maybe facing, you know, the frontal side. I'm calling it the frontal side because most of the action was targeted towards one side. One thing that I'd like to comment as well on the space, particularly, I think, well, visually it's always going to be stunning to have a musical staged outside of a theatre. And that's something that I think Teatro Malta really does well for quite a number of reasons. It is part of their ethos. However, I do believe that I'm actually quite intrigued with the way they're going to be staging it in different Boċċi clubs, particularly due to the manner of how the arena is built. It was quite a frontal spectacle, even though we were in an apron stage setup. From where we were sitting, again, although we were very much it felt like we were part of it in some way, or they tried to integrate us into the performance and performativity of it all, and the theatricality by putting the audience on the pitch. I still feel like, because our sightlines were not ideal, it was primarily most of the action was towards one part of the pitch, so it did feel like we were kind of left behind, like the band. We were left behind. We were closer to the band. We were like. And I personally felt like I was a bit of an afterthought as an audience member, I'm saying. So some of the, and we were actually on that side, so some of the action, we kind of missed it.
Because we weren't directly in front.
Exactly. It's reflected again, not just in the action, but also in the set design, the way it was.
Right.
Automatically, even for actors, for them to act in an open space without actually having walls, building that wall. So they had to build. There were three flats to signify a wall, whether it's going to be the Boċċi Club, or whether it would be a house or what have you. That's already going to indicate that is going to be your back wall automatically. So everything behind that is going to be backstage. Very, very minute details, but these details, I feel like, affect the overall production of a play musical, especially when you have three sides being occupied by an audience. I feel like you need to have a bit more of a balance in the way you're going to roam and use the space, and the way you're going to provide maybe action in certain areas of the space to give a variety. And also, you know, it's a concept of usage of space, practically speaking. So potentially it could be something that maybe different Boċċi clubs, because it might be something that is going to be used differently in different Boċċi clubs, and that's actually an interesting element to it. I think we can. I would say that the audience that we experienced, the energy we experienced, was a very, very interactive one. Yeah. I was almost laughing at the reactions that audience members had themselves. Yeah. How was it for you? Do you know?
Well, yeah, I was looking to the audience a lot to try and gauge the the story and the jokes. I think there are a lot of jokes, but I didn't, unfortunately, understand a lot of them because I'm not a Maltese speaker. So, but it's largely in Maltese, but there are some parts of the dialogue in English as well. So, from a language point of view, I struggled. But
would you say, because this is something that I actually kind of like challenged you a bit with coming to a Maltese speaking production, would you say that if you had to go and approach it, if you had to approach it yourself organically, would you try and do that in the future? Approach a Maltese production musical?
I honestly, I would be reluctant to if there wasn't some sort of help or either surtitling or some,
like
perhaps something
exactly
something in the program to sort of help you along, because maybe scene by scene,
which is actually something that might tie into the narrative, because the narrative really relates on xenophobia, and this might be something that you should be considered.
I mean, yes, the language issue
language
and not there's a character who gives all of their lines in English and doesn't understand Maltese, and this is actually a plot point. So this is being thematized in the work. I was concerned about the perhaps the stereotyping of this character, actually.
Characterization.
Although the expectations they're flipped 180 degrees at the end. So, but I wasn't totally convinced about the writing of this character.
Okay, so you felt like the writing of the character, together with the Deus Ex Machina, and was. How would you relate that to kind of like the ending, the climax?
Yeah.
Happy ever after, potentially.
Yes, I mean, I don't know how much we want to say here about who this character is.
Well, it's a foreigner.
Yes.
It's a foreigner. He is he is the bartender at the club. So, and he is
he's being portrayed, I think, as an Afro-Caribbean character, based on various signifiers in the performance.
Exactly.
Also the music, but there's I did have a problem with this the rendering of this character, I think, because basically, and even with the ending, the kind of the happy ending that he brings about, he only really exists to help out the other characters, and he's a sort of comic relief, and he's relentlessly positive, so doesn't really have is not shown to have much of an inner life.
Because then obviously they're packing, it's the end, so they're packing and they have to leave the space because it's going to be demolished. And then Jonathan comes in and he's like, oh, I bought the space, hurrah. And you have the white savior complex flipped on its head, which was good. It was a good comment to make, to be fair.
Yes, the sort of the egoism of charity.
Exactly.
Maybe.
Exactly.
And so that was a very sort of clearly satirical moment in the storyline, that kind of twist at the end.
So, and also he has one musical number about snacks.
Exactly.
So not a very deep song that he gets to perform.
Portrayed as this sunny island, and we're all having fun here, and so many snacks. We have so many snacks, but we're kind of battling this issue of overpopulation and money and greed and all that, and it's just all going over our heads. And fun and packed.
So it was a fun song, but I think it did have this level of satire, but the musical style was kind of reggae.
Yeah.
So that was meant to fit with his character type, perhaps. The dancers had these Carmen Miranda style headdresses, but instead of fruit, they have bags of crisps.
Yeah, bags of crisps and sunshine snacks. I love
which they then proceed to hurl into the audience.
Exactly, and we had a snack ourselves midway through the musical.
We
Much
did.
appreciated. I feel like that should be something, a point taken in future for any musical writer to write in a snack break for the Maltese. I feel like it would be much appreciated.
A snack break, but it's written into the musical.
Exactly.
And it just keeps going.
Just keeps going. And you're just fine with it, eating your crisps.
Yeah.
I think actually the costume there, I really enjoyed it. I was like, it's so fun.
It
The
was fun.
headdresses made of like crisps. I was like, I enjoyed it. There was also Sandy von Brockdorf when she was the real estate thing. Her costume was like flamboyant and amazing and really did match the trinkets that she was constantly shaking. She added a lot on to that character.
Yeah, she was wielding this bunch of keys and fluffy animals like a flail. It was almost like a weapon.
She was,
and you could hear her coming. So
hear her coming before even like a what do you call it, like thunder. She was just coming in. She was really thunderous. Like she owned the whole stage. Her energy was there, so it was really great. Shall we say like a last comment? So then we close it off.
Sure.
And I'll save you from being my gimbal. Okay, yes. I mean, like if I had to go through the cast, I mean, like I still think that this character Jonathan, played by Adam Ryan, is a well-rounded performer. Whether it was a directorial, I do believe it was a directorial approach towards the caricature element of his role, and some other caricature elements to bring out that very slapstick sometimes almost, you know, I mean fun, the producer's level, or actually something that I did comment to you about. I'm gonna open this up again, sorry, you're gonna have to be my gimbal for quite a bit long.
That's okay.
Something that really reminded me of this, which is a very silly comment I think, but it reminded me of the film Dodgeball. The way the opponent teams, and whoever watched Dodgeball would get me, the way the opponent teams were kind of like created the characterization of certain characters, the gimmicks and the kind of like stunts that go behind scenes of seeing the bocce balls being thrown. I also liked when Chris, Sandy, and Bertha Farrugia were in ensemble roles, so they were constantly obviously changing, and I liked when they were going back to my comments, the different teams, the opposing teams. So I liked when each team had like a characteristic. You know, you had the nerds. Practically you had the breakers, you know, at the end. A comment actually on the breakers, the Boċċi Club winning against the breakers was kind of like I did not feel like there was this huge hurrah that we actually won. I feel like I could not relate to that winning of that game
because you feel like you don't know fully what's at stake,
and the fact that they've been pulled out of the league, and then suddenly, but there's going to be a game and we'll do the last game just to say we did the last game. Okay, we're gonna do the last game. And they won the last game, even though it did not matter to the league. I couldn't relate to that level. So when they threw the last boccia at the lick, it was actually Jez who did that, I believe. And then there was the blackout, or a semi-blackout. I feel like even the audience was not sure what happened, and there was like a bit of a pause before reluctantly, you know, they clapped a bit, and there was a change in scene. There was that awkwardness where I felt like people were unsure of, should we clap? Is it over? There's a blackout. What happened? There was also a small issue of the boccia flying out from the stick. So people were not sure what to proceed and how to proceed. The big issue here is overdevelopment and greed. Great. But then you're going to add the breakers. That's another enemy there.
The rival, yeah, Boċċi Club.
The rival Boċċi Clubs. I feel like that was a bit, it could have been done better. Could have been produced differently. With or without it, we could have still proceeded on with the musical. I think it was a very, very interesting way of going about making the bocce game interesting.
Yeah, because you do see a few bocce games, but they're not really realistic. They're very heightened,
exactly,
and choreographed as well. So it was a very playful approach to that.
Approach. So to go back and like close off the cast. I mean, like Joseph Zammit as well as Osmar was a very interesting character, and you see a whole character arc with him and together with Mireille Camilleri's Marta. And lastly, I need to comment about Philip Vella, veteran performer as Jess, the Boċċi Club owner.
The heart and soul of the show, maybe.
Exactly. Yeah. He really, really was, and I feel like without him, he made the show. I feel like
Philip Vella, he has one or at least one kind of main aria to sing, or one main song, which we mentioned in the other video, and is quite sort of heartfelt. And emotional. I think it's also the sort of the slowest song in the whole musical, and perhaps the rest of the numbers are actually very up-tempo. Yeah, and I think Philip's the song of Jez at the cemetery is maybe the it's like, I can't recall it in detail, but it felt the most kind of sincere and emotionally heartfelt. So I felt like that was sort of in a way a high point of the whole evening. And also you mentioned that Jez is the one who kind of throws the final the winning boccia, is that?
Yes.
And so in a way he's also overcoming his disability in that moment, and this whole narrative of kind of saving a sort of fading tradition, or a sort of like a social club that's under threat from big development. This is I was thinking where I've seen this before, because it's perhaps a sort of a story archetype, and it's maybe not so different from the film Burlesque from 2010, where you have this
of course,
where you have this sort of cabaret style nightclub, but it has serious financial troubles, and it's on the way out, and then Christina Aguilera's character comes in and saves the day. So
exactly, and Cher asks her to kind of dance the Wagubi Watusi, and we're on it. Becky is our Christina Aguilera, and Cher is our Philip Vella, and
exactly.
And we save the Burlesque Club, we save the Boċċi Club. I feel like actually now I can see the parallel. I can see that actually. I can see that very much. So I'm enjoying this. It's great.
This allegory.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's not a bad thing. I mean, a lot of great works of art are based on a kind of archetype, but and it's making it more local. I mean, it is ultimately a very local story about Maltese social and political issues.
It's a light, frothy, fun work. Sort of.
It flirts a bit with bocce. Like it's a very nice, playful, I think, musical. A nice start to the Boċċi season and also a nice start to summer.
Yeah, and if you don't know Maltese, then bring along a friend who does, and they'll help you out.
Great.
Okay.